Hi, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Real Talk. I am blessed to introduce this epic man to you. His name is Layne Cornell. I'm not even really sure how I managed to stumble across your awesomeness, but I did, and we're connected on Facebook. So you're very welcome.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation as well. And same thing, like I'm not sure exactly how we connected, but I've been following you for the time that we have been, and you know, very impressed by your words and your posts and just the whole image and everything. And I knew at some point we would be connecting, and here we are.
Yeah, the joys of social media. You're there and I'm here, and there's an ocean between us, and yet there's nothing. I love this. I love the way it rolls. I just want to say, first off, how genuinely refreshing it is to see a man, because this is my own perspective, but a man showing up real, raw, authentic, transparent on social media. I don't see it often come up on my feed, and when I do, for me, what you did was you just popped. Your drive, determination, and at the very same time, your vulnerability is so incredibly addictive to watch and endearing to listen to. To anybody who doesn't know this guy, I highly encourage you follow him, especially on Facebook, and we will pop links for connecting with Layne into the feed at the end. He does, which is my favorite, these like little walks. He goes, well, his fitness journey is something that we're going to tap into and talk to in a couple of minutes, but he literally inspires the shit out of me every time he hits the record button. And as recent as, was it yesterday or today's post about yesterday, yeah, you spoke to speaking your truth, sharing your own opinion, even if it isn't popular. And I'd love for you just to talk to that straight off the bat, because I think right now, the chaotic world that we have outside there at the moment, we've got a lot of tension and a lot of fear rising, and people have a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions on a lot of things going down. So I'd love to hear and have you share with everybody what you shared with on your own page.
Yeah, so I mean, that was just some wisdom that was passed down to me from my grandmother. And I think that, you know, it comes with some, you gotta be delicate about it also, because since tensions are really high, right now, the idea of like standing up for your beliefs actually could be kind of a problem. You know what I mean? It's like compromise. There is a place for compromise. There is a place for, you know, putting what you believe, I don't know, not in the back burner, but there is a place for kind of not feeling like you have to be right, is what I'm saying. It's like I'm definitely not like encouraging anybody to, go to war or like die for it or whatever. I mean, there's a time and place for that too. But
Yeah.
I guess what I was getting at there was, and the wisdom coming from my grandmother is, not to suppress that just to appease the collective. I've had signed up for an experience in which I found myself in a room full of people that had all taken one side, and I found myself on the opposite side. And I'm not one where I'm going to be like, yo, you guys are all wrong, and here's why, and I'm right, and I'm going to argue with you to the death for it, but part of that experience required me to voice my opinion. And so when it came to my turn, I was actually surprised that, like when one person voiced their opinion, I was like, oh, really? Because to me, it seemed very obvious. I was like, my opinion to me was like very obvious. So I was surprised that other people took the other side, which is totally fine. I respect it. And it just turned out that I was the only one in this group of, maybe 12 people who held this opposite view. And so it came down to me, and I was like, this is what I think. This is what I believe, and here's why. I quickly was interrupted, and questions were fired at me, and fortunately I know how to kind of put up boundaries around that stuff, and shut that down. I'm like, you're not going to be asking me questions and then interrupting me. It's just not going to happen, because I know where the door is and I have no problem going. But if you want me here, you're going to hear me out. And so it felt very empowering to just be able to say, you know what, this is what I believe, and I don't care what any of you think about it. This is it. This is what I see and view. I can't change that. I can't change that just because you guys see it differently. Like, and at the same time, I'm open to the idea that I might be wrong, and we can talk about it. We can go back and forth, and we can do all that. But it just felt very empowering to be able to say, you know what, this is what I believe, and here's why. So it was a unique experience. Yeah.
I think now more than ever, the situation a lot of people find themselves in is where they have to really dig deep to find out what resonates with them, what doesn't resonate. And at all times, this is just me personally speaking, honor whatever it is they feel, honor whatever it is they believe, and always speak to that. But I don't know about you, but forever, I mean, I was definitely somebody who, I said it to you before, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I would definitely, try and keep the peace and not shake the boat too much. And it was always to my detriment. And then what I would end up doing is internalizing everything. I'm like, God damn, I should have said that to him or her. I shouldn't have done this. I should have spoke up. And then when you internalize everything, there's all sorts of chaos, all sorts of, excuse the expression, but mind fuckery. Your mind takes over. And then you start giving yourself an even harder time than where you were at the beginning of the thing. And I think, what I loved about what you addressed was you were the minority in the room with regards to your opinion. It wasn't a matter of needing to be right. You're open to being wrong. But what you weren't open to was anybody crossing a line where it disrespected you, it dishonored you. And I think what I love most about what I watched was, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't speak up. We definitely, we're not known for it. It is, I feel that there is a change in the tide, but we don't speak up and out, especially if we're in the minority. And that takes me perfectly into another post, if you don't mind me talking about the stuff you shared, because I just love it. And it was a post that you shared on your page the other day about you wrote the most captivating title, which was your personal freedom is at risk if you don't address this thing. And I'd love you to share what that thing is with everybody.
Simple. It was really, it wasn't about wearing masks, or it wasn't about, anything to do with the lockdowns or anything like that. It was all about, fear of rejection and feeling like the need to have approval from other people in order to just validate who you are. And the reason, the connection I make to personal freedom there is that it just slows you down way too much. Like, and it might restrict your decisions. Like, if you always have to ask yourself, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, like, what are people going to think about this if I say this, or if I do this? Those opportunities come and go. And like, just stopping and worrying about that, for one, it just lowers your whole energy. And that's probably really why the opportunity goes by more than the time. On the time side, it's like, if you lower your energy, then that opportunity is now it's gone. I mean, it'll come back or whatever, but that's just been my experience. Like, when I just say, you know what, this is who I am, and I have every right, just like any other human, to be who I am and to share that with the world. And if people like it, then we'll be friends and we'll make connections. And if they don't like it, then makes no difference to me. Like they just keep moving on.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to just be their authentic selves in this world? What makes it so difficult?
Mm. I don't know. I mean, you could dig into, childhood trauma and go into all that stuff. That's not really my uh, expertise. But I imagine it has something to do with that. Just
And for you
yeah.
personally, I was going to say, um, for you personally, was it always a time where you could just be this person, or a lot of us have had to go through specific, big takedowns in life in order to have the, to wake up, um, being on the hamster wheel, running the same day in, day out, and what was, or did you have other things that you went through to get to a place where you won't settle for anything else less than being your authentic self now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there were times throughout my life where I had glimpses of like shining and like this is me and being that, and I would get validated for that, and people are like, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, I mean, a good chunk of my life was I was living in fear. I was uh, very shy, very timid. I'm still very much an introvert, but the fear around it is not there. It's more because I've recognized that, that time to that solitude, that stuff recharges me. Um, and I love connecting with people now because I don't have that fear around it anymore. But so yeah, I mean, it was definitely a process. It was definitely like a learning experience, and um, there was a lot of things that kind of led me to breaking free from that fear. Uh, Part of it was working with people who I saw that embodied that way of being, and I was like, I want to be like that, and just doing whatever it took to learn from them and be around them. So seeking out mentors was a really big part of that, and then just just changing my whole view of like what failure even is, and a lot of it comes back to just the self-acceptance, like the self-love. It's like I had to learn to look at my life without constantly beating myself up for not being where I thought I should be. And so I started looking at some of the things that I did right, you know, even though I made plenty of mistakes. And I look back, I could look back on, past versions of myself with love and compassion, and, just going over the timeline of my life up till the present moment, and then to where I can look in the mirror and be like, yo, I love you. Like
Yeah.
you're a badass. So being able to do that, to look myself in the mirror, look in my eyes, and just say, I respect you. Um, that just removes the need for me to seek it out from anybody else. And I receive it. I mean, I accept it. Like people will say like, hey, I like what you're doing. Like, I like your energy. This is cool. I'm just like, awesome. Thank you. Like, but I don't need that, because I can look in the mirror and give it to myself.
Yeah. And could I ask, and only if you're comfortable sharing, what what did your world look like before you made the decision, enough is enough, and I want to embody this energy of these guys who's around me? What did your world look like prior to that?
Pretty, pretty normal. I think it was, trying to fit the mold, wear the clothes that I'm supposed to wear, have the job that I'm supposed to have, very 9 to 5, very um, playing by the rules, doing what everybody does, carrying a bunch of debt, um, you know, just playing other people's games. So, I mean, more specifically, I was tired. I felt disconnected from, you know, my own divinity, and um, I, 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 I was just always in that, always, but I was often in that lacking state of mind where it's just like, it's just like, I'm just not enough. I'm just not enough. And so, um, Yeah, that was it. I mean, tired comes to mind, like, because when you're always trying to play somebody else's game, play by their rules, you know that you've got something else that you're born to do, um, and yet you're not really able to do it. You know, it just is very draining. It's very draining. And so, I mean, it got dark. Like there were times where the financial pressure was so heavy. Um, you know, I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but you know, I prayed for death. Like I was ready to check out. Like I didn't really want to kill myself, but I didn't, at the same time, I didn't want to continue living. So, you know, that low, and that was something that I've learned too. It's like this goes both ways, right? So like no matter where you're at, things can always get worse. Like if you've never been to rock bottom, well, first of all, there is no rock bottom because whatever you think rock bottom is, there's somebody below that. And you can go there if you, you know, make the choices that take you there. So no matter how bad it is, it can always get worse. And on the flip side, it can always get better. No matter how bad it is, it can always get better.
Yeah.
And no matter how good it is, it can always get better as well. There's really no limit. There's no upper limit to how good life can be either. But I feel like that's kind of vague and to a very specific question. But
No, it's
basically,
perfect.
yeah, basically, life was shit.
It, you know, like I from what I'm listening to, you're talking to everybody's life, everybody's journey, the monotony of the same thing happening day in, day out. Um, the definition of insanity, wanting something completely different and then not having the bandwidth to do anything with it because you're weary. You're weary on every level, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, just fucked. And you don't know where to begin. You want you want things to change desperately, but you know, you don't know where to begin. And you know, at that point, you know, similarly in my own world, shit hits the fan and it gets that intense that something has to give. And normally it's every time, actually. But again, this is just my perspective. The thing that has to give is your commitment to your own bullshit and your commitment to your own stagnation or your thoughts or you know this the energy that you feed to this, because you know, like you said, everything could be worse, everything could be better, but in that space in between is our choice point. And it's like, you know, what you said, I don't want to die, but I don't know how to live. What do I do? And you know, again, for many of us, nobody comes in to save us ever. It's always ourselves that have to make that choice where we know that we can't commit to both our growth and our bullshit at the same time. And so something has to give. And it can give very slowly and but it's a movement, a step forward, moment by moment by moment. And what I love about what you said was you can look back now with love and compassion, which I don't think people realize the importance of compassion when you're on this journey, because it will shake you to your goddamn core and it leaves nothing. You're like naked, vulnerable, raw, broken, damaged, and perfect all at the same time. And I think we forget. I mean, you spoke to the specific word that just spoke like boom to me, which was the divinity within you, the divinity within me. And sometimes I feel like we fuel our own separation. Your journey from there to there, you know, from one place to this place of freeing yourself from the chains that bind you to an old life, and to where you are now, are remarkable for me. I mean, in the short period of time that I've, watched you on social media, um, I can see I can see your heart just expand over and over. You've experienced transformation on many levels. You're talking about, financially. You're talking about your just your living status, where you are, how you see things, how you view life. Your physical transformation is something that I would love to talk to. Um, it inspired the shit out of me. I was talking to my nephew earlier on. You guys, you're like just like two different versions of each other. He's 19. He's going to be speaking with me very soon on Real Talk. Um, his mindset amazes me. But what I watch you do is, and the thing that kept me linking in with you nearly every day was you started a challenge in 2020 called 75 Hard. I gotta just find my phone just to tell people exactly what this was that you did. Wait till you hear this shit. Like, I'm like, this man's a machine. 2 45-minute workouts a day for 75 days now, okay? One workout must be outdoors. Follow a diet. No alcohol or cheap meals. Read 10 pages of a book. Drink 1 gallon of water and take a progress picture, which I don't have right now. Because I thought it was just absolutely inappropriate, but it's perfect. You should see, like you can see your whole, you can see your physically, your energy speaks, your eyes, everything. What was that like to do as a human being? Because that's incredible. Just to fill in, one of the things that Layne did was when you go out walking, the outdoor activity, that's where he brings up these little lives of wisdom. What was that like for you to do?
Well, so first I had seen somebody else that I respect and follow on social media that had been doing that challenge. And I was just like, man, I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, that does look hard, and like, yeah, he's doing it every day. And then he was just having wins in every area of his life, like, starting his own business and just making a big impact in a lot of people's lives. And I was kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll do that someday for a while, like, basically till he finished it. And there was one day where like I went out with some friends and we stayed out late, and I came home late, got up in the morning, and I was just like, ugh, felt just like a steaming pile of poop. And I was just like, this is not good. This is not life, I had made a lot of progress at that point. Like at that point, I was either very close to being debt free or had already cleared it. So like I had been making progress in a lot of areas, but as far as like my own like vitality and my own energy and just commitment to my own growth, I was still allowing a lot of BS into my life. I was still tolerating a lot of just things that are really normal, like distractions and stuff that I feel suppresses who we really are, and it's okay to watch a movie or whatever. I'm not saying that it's not, but everything has extremes. And so in that moment, I was, feeling the after effects of some of the extremes with a lot of these distractions, and just feeling like that. I was like, I saw his post again, and he's just like, yeah, I'm out here kicking ass at life and like doing the 75 hard. And I was like, I want that. So I was like, yeah, it looks hard, but you know what? I started looking into it a little bit more. Andy Frisella is the guy that started the whole thing, and he's got a very persuasive writing style, and I'm sure he's a great copywriter. And he used those skills the way that I've always believed that copywriting should be used. And it's not to sell products, but to influence people to improve their own lives. So it was basically like he used that skill to get people to take action. and inspire them. It was just amazing, like an amazing letter on the page. If you go to 75hard.com, you can read it, and it's very inspiring. And so I read that and I was like, yep, okay, this starts now. So, I mean, it's a free thing to do. Where there's no investment involved other than if you wanted to get the $5 app to track it, which is what I did because I found that useful. But so I signed up for it, and within like 2-3 days, I felt like a different person. I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't see any effects, for a while, like in the mirror, but I felt just making the commitment just made me feel better about me. And I knew it was just a time, like, so first of all, I don't think everything needs to be hard. Everything doesn't need to be challenged. Like there's this big, mentality of like, just keep hustling and just keep, grinding, and like, I think that there's a place for that. Especially like if you're just like not getting results because you're really lazy or you're not doing anything. But I think there's a level above that, where it's like you just get good enough where it's enjoyable. And it's not, like, yeah, it takes work. You put time into it, but it's because you want to. So that being said, I was at a place in my life where I wanted a challenge. I wanted something that was hard, because I just wanted to see what I was made of. And I feel like that challenge was a great vehicle for that. And by the end of that challenge, I was a different person. Like at my core, I still had all the qualities that I had before of, just having a good heart and being compassionate and stuff like that. But my effectiveness and my confidence in my ability to get results was at a level it had never been before.
Yeah. What would you say was the biggest thing that you have achieved? Would it be your mindset, your physical body, or is it a culmination of everything?
Yeah, the mindset's interesting because I think mindset is, very important. Like it's, very, very important for sure. But by itself, like it's not really a whole lot. Like I think it's easy to just, like, once you learn how much how much influence you have over your own emotional state. Like I went through a phase where I realized I was like, oh, I can choose how I feel. Like I don't have to just be at the victim of circumstances to feel good. So I went through a phase where I was like, all right, I'm just going to choose to feel good and just be blissed out all the time.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like that was a great experience, but my debt continued to rise because I was just like, well, whatever, I feel good. Don't matter. My relationships weren't, all great. My house wasn't in order basically, but I just decided, I'm just going to be all blissed out, So the mindset piece by itself, it may be something that, depends how you define it. And so maybe there was something off about my mindset where I wasn't doing all the actions to get the results or whatever, but mindset for sure was affected. I think it's important. So I just hit a point where I was like, why not, be happy and get results, So the other results, like getting out of debt was huge. I mean, that was like an anchor around my neck. It felt like once I paid off all my debt, and it was like $90,000, student loans and, credit cards and cars and all that stuff. And it took me about 2 years to do that. But once that was all paid off, I was just like, I just had a lot more options, for what I could do. So that was huge. My physical transformation, was a big part of all of that too, because, it gave me the energy to take advantage of a lot of these options that I had now. So I don't know that there's really one thing that I feel was like the biggest thing. I guess you could say it's the mindset. But I feel like they just all kind of like started to like come together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The self-love journey is not an easy one. By the sounds of what I'm hearing you say, when you're meeting yourself on a daily basis in a challenge like that, some days you're going to rock in there strong mentally, strong physically. Some days you're going to rock in sideways going, I don't want to do this shit. Were there any days like that where you're like, I can't, I don't want to? And if so, what took, well, you finished the challenge, so what took you over those humps?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think like when I made the commitment, I just had made the commitment. So they say that the word decision, if you look at the root word from it, it's like, I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's like you're cutting off all other possibilities. So I had made that. I was like, I'm doing this, like, no matter what, like, I'm doing this. So if I didn't feel like it or don't feel like it, I didn't entertain any of that for very long. It was like, I'm just doing this. And, my workouts weren't really hard. Like I, just going for a walk for 45 minutes. Most of my workouts are just walks. Like, like yesterday I went for 2 walks, and those were my 2 workouts. I'll go to the gym and lift the stuff, but I'm not like, the whole point of it for me wasn't to get ripped or anything. It was just it was more of a mental fitness thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like I'm getting off the question here.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I just, it's so many people I think struggle with their own limitations, and the limitations that they have sometimes aren't even theirs, or the thoughts or beliefs or programs of another. Somebody, like you're talking about, even childhood stuff. You could have a person who was told, excuse me, by another that they're not worth shit, or who do they think they are, or whatever it might be, or don't equally, don't do that, because you're just setting yourself up for a fall. And so I think, what I was going to say was the limitations that we have sometimes nearly become our worst enemy. I loved watching what you did when you did it, how you did it. I mean, you went and stepped straight into another one straight after that, which I'm like, what the hell? But I was going to say, like, the mind can play such havoc. We're either like feeding our fears, or we're feeding the love of ourselves that we're always trying to tap back into, that's almost like forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's such a task sometimes, because I don't know about your world, but nobody shows us how to love ourselves. It's like, not the done thing.
Yeah.
And nobody shows us anything about our emotions, or about our mindset, and the importance of them, and the importance of feeling things. Like you said earlier on there, one of the things that you realized was, hang on here, I actually have a choice how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in that space too. And that
Yeah.
was like maybe just 2 years ago. I'm like, I have a choice. I don't have to engage with this bullshit. I don't have to stay here for this conversation. I don't even have to stay in this marriage. I don't have to do it. Do you know what I mean? And we were talking before, and I said to you, it's like when we get to the point where you're dealing with something that's kind of monumental or big in our worlds, and then you turn around and you go, actually, I'm going to say no to this shit and yes to me.
Yeah.
For me, that's where my journey of this self-love kind of inner revolution began. And it's not easy when you're hardwired and programmed for the opposite. Like, I've got compassion tattooed on my arm. So
Yeah.
I look at it and I see, Melissa, don't be an asshole to yourself. You're
Yeah.
doing your best, your best, your best, your best. And the point I'm trying to make here is, sometimes these limitations, like, I could look at you and say, well, he's able to do that. I definitely couldn't do that shit. But I don't think we realize the limitations we place on ourselves. And by placing those limitations on ourselves, just how much we suppress our own energy, our own spirit, our own creativity, that it's easier to stay in on the hamster wheel, stuck in the loop of doing the same shit day in, day out. Yes, you can lose yourself in a series on Netflix. You can lose yourself at the bottom of a bottle of wine, whatever it might look like, and that's okay. Likewise to what you said earlier, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but if they are your daily life and they are things that you're doing, and you're wondering at the same time, what in the hell am I doing here? I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, I can't stay living like this.
Mm.
You know, it's almost like we're always trying to show ourselves the path to least resistance, while grabbing the path of least resistance, and almost, you know, hugging it in a little bit closer, going, who am I without this shit? You know, what if I succeed? And that's what I love about watching your journey, because especially in that period, I'm like, what if he doesn't show up one day? What if he doesn't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's human.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? And yet I watched as that happened, when you did the second, because you completed the challenge down to the wire, and
Yeah.
then you're so badass, you go into another one. But you know what I saw that day, and it was, I think maybe last week, was it, where something came up in your world, and you didn't get to do all of your challenges, and then you owned that shit. And not only did you own it to yourself, you owned it, I mean, publicly, because everybody was following your journey. And when I think what's incredible is, in a world where there's so much pressure on people to conform and succeed and be successful, when you show up after, you know, not doing something that you committed to or whatever, you actually give other people nearly permission to do the same. And I think that's huge right now for people, because we're all winging it, we're all trying to do our best. And some days are better than others. So like I've said it often talking here, some days I'm up here, and then other days I'm on the floor crawling, or on the sofa, like in December, wrapped up in a blanket with my hoodie, going, I'm fucking done with this shit. I'm done. So I love that you spoke to that, and then straight back into the game.
Yeah.
And I loved when excuse me, just following your journey, the nuggets of inspiration that you are getting about you. So as you talk and hit record, as you go and do these, and they're like 2, 3, 5 minutes. They're not long. It's the most impactful thing. I was saying to you earlier on, it's the truth.
Mm.
It's powerful, it's profound, but it's so simple. And this is the way I described it to Layne. You know, I'm watching this, I'm in it, I'm there going, like when you were talking to, you know, the fear of rejection. I'm like, I've been there. I know what he's talking about. Every time I try and show up for this shit, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then after like 2 or 3 minutes, you're gone, and I'm left with myself. I'm going, shit, he's right. Why do I give a shit? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I behaving like this?
Yeah.
He's not even thinking about how I feel about this. Why am I even worried about it, right? And what I love is, it's you talking to you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm, from the outside looking in, what I'm loving about that journey was, it's your growth and your expansion, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And then you're talking to yourself. And as you talk to yourself, and you get this inspiration and this fire to hit that record button, which I'd love to do, actually have the balls to do myself. I don't. That's the truth. I just don't. I want to, but I don't. And then I'm asking myself when I watch you, why aren't you doing that shit? And I think this is what sets the world on fire. Somebody like you who comes in left field. Like I said at the beginning of this, I don't see men on my timeline showing up like you do. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy to be vulnerable and you know, share what you share, but it's so necessary. So, you know, I really love seeing that. Is there, moving forward for you, I hope, is there more that you're going to do with that energy? I hope you do, because I hope you don't bottle that shit. It's so it's just so palpable. What does where you're going, the next chapter of your life, look like? Or even now, what does it look like when it comes to what you do?
Yeah. So thank you for all that. First of all, I had so many things to think about from what you were saying there. Um, as far as the future goes, like I'm very careful not to say I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that
Mm,
because um, I don't know, something about telling people what you're going to do. I feel like there's something subconsciously that like you almost convince yourself that you already did the thing, so now you don't actually have to do it. So I'm not real big on telling everybody what I'm about to do. But what I have started doing, and I'm starting to get some more momentum doing, is you know, I mentioned that one of the ways that I was able to level up was by working with mentors and
mm,
coaches, and so now I'm starting to do that for other people, and that is something that I would love to continue to expand and grow. It's very fulfilling work. I'm surprised, you know, every day, you know, I have a conversation with somebody and you know, working through the challenges that they have, and you know, just empowering other people in that sense, in more of a one-on-one space. You know, sharing my thoughts and stuff on Facebook, I enjoy. If anybody gets anything out of it, then I think that's awesome. Uh, and you know, I also really like having these types of conversations one-on-one with people.
yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things we spoke about prior to this conversation was how you have merged your love of fitness with developing and deepening your own intuitive senses around pretty much your entire life.
yeah,
Would you be able to share with people the magic of this? I happened to be telling my nephew about this earlier on, and he was like, his eyes just lit up. The idea of what you're about to share, if you could share with people what the intuitive fitness is about.
yeah, definitely. So it's, you know, intuitive fitness. I mean, just the name alone, you kind of get a sense from it. In fact, one of the clients that I work with mentioned, she's like, just hearing that the name of that has me now thinking about my own intuition around food. And so when I'm working with people, and that's my main focus right now as far as the coaching goes, is helping people to be healthy. And you know, what I always tell them now is basically, hey, I might make some suggestions um, for you to try out, but you know, you need to know that I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a personal trainer. Like I'm not licensed in any of this stuff. Like I'm an intuitive results coach, and for this work that we're doing, I'm an intuitive fitness coach. So my job is to work with you to help to tap into your intuition around food, around joyful body movement, around these things that improve your health. So while I may make some suggestions, uh, I encourage you to listen to your own body even more than, you know, you listen to me.
Yeah.
And so somebody might come to me and say, "Hey, Layne, can you make a meal plan for me, or like a workout plan or something?" And I usually say, you know, "Yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to do that." I'm like, "Well, why not?" You know, because
Yeah.
well, it doesn't really work. Like I can give you all the foods that I think you should eat, or tell you all the foods that I eat, but that doesn't mean that you're going to eat those. Like one of the things that I learned during my time as a teacher in the public school system was that the student learns so much more and at a deeper level and faster when they're learning by discovery. Like the more ownership that they have in their education, the better the experience is for them. And so I've really taken that to heart and apply that in, you know, with the clients that I coach to, you know, hey, you're going to make your own meal plan and I'm going to help you do that. Um, but the reason that I'm not just giving you a meal plan is because it just doesn't work. But if you piece by piece, you know, little by little over time through a process that, you know, you might have heard called habit stacking, you know, we're going to get this dialed in, and you're going to customize your own ideal lifestyle in a way that supports your health and fitness goals.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that is kind of in a nutshell, like what I do with people.
That's epic. I love the idea of it. I loved it the last time we spoke. I loved the idea of it the minute I heard it, because um, it's something I've struggled with myself, and I would try a meal plan, or I would try and do something, um, and eat something, and then it just didn't feel good in my body. And you're talking to your own body's intelligence, and now more than ever, I think, tapping into that intelligence on every level is so important. It's actually necessary. What I also loved about what you talked to a second ago was, as you encourage, as you've done, because you're leading by example, in being, embodying what you speak to with regards to your clients, and that's mind, body, and almost heart coherence, that everything is working in synergy with each other, by you, orchestrated by you, for you. um, and to encourage that sounds so incredibly right, and yet it's not done, because I'd imagine in the world of fitness, what works for one person doesn't work for the next. And when you find something that you love to do, that's when, not just in fitness, in anything creatively, or in life, when you find something that you love, it's never work, it's never effort, it's the joy, it's the joy of. So I really love the idea of that, and um would love to hear more, and in following you, how this journey goes, and the expansion of it. I think it's definitely something that the world needs, because like you said earlier on, even you were talking about the mindset, it's not enough to tackle the mindset on its own. It's not enough to tackle the body on its own. And it's not enough to tackle even the emotions, that the heart. It has to be like a whole picture, but one where your whole system is working in sync with you, as opposed to against. Another thing I just love to touch on is your music, because the most recent thing I saw was, even you created this little magic piece at Christmas, and I'm like, wow. And I know for a fact that Todd Medina listening to you, I can imagine the two of you guys coming together for creating things. It would be really, really cool.
Who's that?
With Todd Medina, he would love listening to your music. He's Todd. You see him on the network on Soulogy. He's like, he gets really inspired, merging the words
Mhm.
that literally come, like when you're on your, he calls it, he does something similar, like when he's on a spirit walk.
Yeah.
But these words that come from here, and then merging it with the music, and then the alchemy just happens, and then boom. um it's another facet of you that I'm amazed by as well, is your love of music, because they're like all these different diverse worlds, and then they all web and weave together and just completely nourish the shit out of you. So it's like, it's a win-win situation. What musically, I know, you've got a lot of followers there, like on Spotify. I saw a poster recently where you were saying about changing platforms even, and where you can broaden your connections with people. And now more than ever, it's the easiest thing to do. Musically, where are you? What do you is there anything that you wanted to do moving forward, or is it that you kind of dance in between all of these worlds in sync?
Yeah, yeah. It's another playground for me to just be
Yeah.
myself, and to express myself, really what it is. Um, my dog barking.
What arm? What
um,
arm?
can we pause this actually?
Yeah, just something.
Just a moment.
You were
Yeah.
saying.
So the music is, it's just another playground for me to show up and be myself, and have fun. Like, um, I and that's just how I look at all these different areas now. Like, there was a time where I looked at everything as like a battlefield, or even like a school. Like, I used to think life is a school, and like we're here to learn. And I think that was a valuable thing, and that's what music was for a while for me too. It was like to learn, and to learn the music, to learn about myself. And now I'm like, well, you know what? Now it's all just a playground. I just get to have fun with all of these things. And so with the music, what I would like to do, Well, first of all, like with the music and really with everything, I've always held the belief that impact is much more important than reach. So like with social media, for example, like a lot of people get over focused on how many followers they have,
Mm.
how many likes and comments they get. And while that stuff, can be a good metric, it's not that important,
Yeah.
like without the impact.
Yeah.
I would much rather, you know, post a video or make a song that only one other person hears,
Mm.
but it had an impact on them for good,
Yeah.
than to make a song or a video that a million people, see or hear, and it's just like, oh, this, it didn't really do anything.
Yeah. The
So with the
connection.
music, that's always been my focus is impact over reach. I've gotten some pretty good feedback now to where people have said, yeah, this has impacted me. And so because of that, I now feel like qualified to focus a little more on the reach. So like
Yeah.
if it's impacted me, it's been able to impact a few other people that have, heard it or listened or whatever. Why not make that available to more people now?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
one of the ways that I want to do that, besides just, making it available on the major platforms for listening to music, is to use more visuals,
Mm.
because video is such a big thing right now. So I mean, I would love to do more music videos and things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Can I ask if people are looking to connect with you for the likes of what you're doing, the intuitive fitness, the coaching, even to follow you with regards to the music, because it's such a mixed bag of absolute awesomeness, where can they find you?
Right now, just my face. Hit me on Facebook. That's going to be where you're going to get the quickest response.
Okay,
Um, and if like, hey, I want to work with you in some way, like send me a message and we can talk. But you're free to follow me or send me a request and find out more. Just see what I'm about.
brilliant. I highly recommend anybody watching this to check him out and definitely follow those little snippets of wisdom that you post. Do you do that on a daily basis now, or is it just when inspired?
Like the live videos.
Yeah, yeah. Would
Yeah,
you
not daily.
gotta,
I've been doing it a couple times a week for a few weeks now.
yeah.
Yeah, and Instagram I'm on there as well, but I don't post quite as much on there. But
Cool.
that's another.
Well, we can pop links in the comments below. Listen, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. It's lovely, to get fresh eyes on the world and have a conversation like this. So I really appreciate it. And we can do it again anytime you want. And to anybody who's watching, thank you.